weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Comics news program. And if I sound a little depressed, it's because I just recorded, or thought I did, a whole program already, and for some reason it didn't record. Maybe I didn't press the record button. Who knows? I'm not here to blame anybody, but now I feel depressed as we go through this again. And this program has been a disaster for the last couple days, but we're doing it. We have crunch time coming up. It's the end of the month. I wanted to get this done. And I know that I promised that we would do an expanded coverage deal with indie and manga to go along with the big two. We're not only not going to do that, but we're not even going to talk about the big two. We're going to talk about the big one. And I do end up meaning DC Comics here because I have a bunch of DC Comics news that we'll go through with commentary that I already did fully, but we'll do again. But, you know, maybe it'll be better this time. It's not going to be. I know I was hitting it hard that last time, and now I'm left with this nonsense. But while we go through this, remember, or at least I want to give props to Newsarama, where I got these news stories from. I have noticed recently that Newsarama is adding a little touch of humor, or at least attempting that in their news stories. Also a little commentary, right? It's pretty cool. It goes along with their awful spelling and terrible syntax. So there you have it. Here we go. New Titans ongoing announced. The Titans are taking over as DC's preeminent superhero team, replacing the Justice League. Oh my goodness, I thought they were already having a solo book. It's called Nightwing, right? I mean, they really do all the heavy lifting in that one. Nightwing writer, Tom Taylor, and artist Nicholas Scott, who I do believe is a fellow Australian. So to make them feel at home, I want them to put a little men at work in, maybe eat a Vegemite sandwich, and here is my quote for them to make them at ease as Australians.
Merry Crisis.
Merry Crisis. There you go. I think now they're well on to feeling at home here for this announcement. DC ends up saying that Tom Taylor and Nicholas Scott are the creative team bringing the Titans to the forefront of the DC universe, beginning in May. Be better if it said, but at what cost? That's my favorite ending to anything in the solicit. They don't say that, but maybe we should. It looks like the initial the initial Titans lineup will at least start with the team as seen in Nightwing number 100. Remember when Nightwing was railing about all that prison reform and that prisons were overcrowded, but then tore down that prison to make the Titans Tower and really left all those people running around in the streets? You remember that? Well, remember, he announced the Titans, and they were there. And it was the classic new Teen Titans lineup of Nightwing, Donna Troy, The Flash, Wally West, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy. Now, they are going to step it up. I have a problem with the idea of them not becoming the Justice League, but replacing it. We'll get to the quote in a second. But all that's said and done, there's bumblings, rumblings, and grumblings that the Justice League's returning in the summer. So we're going to have the Titans step it up in May, and it looks like July or so, the Justice League will be back, which just tells me from the get-go, the Titans are going to fuck things up. You just know it's going to happen. And my guess, it's going to be either Beast Boy or Raven. That's just me. I'd love to hear what everybody thinks and who they think would muck it up. But here is the quote. The time has come for the Teen Titans to grow up, reads DC's description of the new series. My inner Eric Shea right now is saying they already have. But each member joined as a much younger hero, certain that one day they'd be invited to join the Justice League. Now they're not just joining the League, they're replacing it. And somehow that makes it feel less to me. Now, you end up having the Trinity really accepting this idea. Batman's all for Nightwing leading the way. He's the face of the dawn of DC. The Titans are going to step it up, replace the Justice League because they kind of quit. You end up with Superman and Wonder Woman going down into Bloodhaven as it's burning. There are people, escaped convicts running through the streets. Things are blowing up. There is a serial killer ripping hearts out more than Justin Timberlake when he was back in NSYNC. And all that happening, and they say, hey there, you're doing a great job there, Dick Grayson. Why don't you lead everything? Everything's so peachy keen here in Bloodhaven, the worst city in the DCU. that I think that you could step it up. Now, all that being said or done, it just feels weird that the Justice League is like, things didn't work out well for us recently. And they were, pretty much at the wheel. They really were the ones that on their watch, you ended up having Metal, Death Metal, Dark Crisis, Bendis. I mean, so many bad things went on. Not even that, but the Trinity themselves, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, were 100% responsible for that awful sanctuary that we had in Heroes in Crisis. They should all be behind bars. Throw Tom King in with them, right? All of them gone. They should not be just red. This should be the end all and get them out of there. But they're kind of stepping back a bit, but they're just going to come back anyway. So that feels weird. And it just doesn't feel as earned. And I don't know about everybody else because a lot of people are more Titans fans than me. I love Dick Grayson Nightwing. But all in all, the idea, even like just say, and I'll go with Dick Grayson Nightwing. I love him as Nightwing right now. If you said, well, he's going to go back again to be Batman because one day he'll become Batman. I just like the idea that I keep thinking, I love Dick Grayson. One day he'll become Batman. I don't know that I need to see that day. I just need to think in my mind, oh, yeah, he's so good. He will do that. Just like him doing his own thing. And it's the same with all of this. Like, even with the Titans, oh, man, someday they'll replace the Justice League. Someday they'll take over. I don't know that I need to see it because I actually like a lot of the characters on the Justice League as well. But we'll see how it goes and how this ends up. I think that there's a lot of people who pish-posh Tom Taylor nowadays. That is more of a recent thing, at least at DC. I agree with a lot of people. I think that both the Nightwing book and his John Kent Superman book, they meandered a lot. Even had the Suicide Squad book before all these that ended up at 11 issues that they said, oh, no, it was a plan to... When do we get an 11-issue series? That's nonsense. And if you did like that Suicide Squad book, which I did, the problem was at the end, you're kind of like, we didn't get a lot from this. There's a lot of the revolutionaries that we never really learned anything about, and that's what he does. He meanders a lot, and then by the time that he goes to get the book's canceled or whatnot. So we'll have to see how all this goes. But I think overall we should give it a shot. Everybody, even if you're like, well, I haven't liked a lot of the Tom Taylor stuff that he's done recently, even though a lot of people still like his Elseworlds things, maybe he'll go into this thinking of it as an Elseworlds, because it is kind of bullshit that the Justice League steps back just because. So I could go with it that it's an Elseworlds, right? Let's go with it. Maybe this will be the book that he really kicks ass on. But we'll go to the next story. And in this, I think that Newsarama is jumping through hoops, flip-flopping. But I like the idea of going from their nonsense title and discussing things a little bit better. Hawkgirl and Hawkman and or both. And a new Wonder Woman series or revamp coming this summer. Basically, I could put this through the bullshit meter, and what comes out the other end is we kind of saw a hawk symbol and the Wonder Woman. We have no idea what it means, but let's just throw something out there and pretend. And when they pretend stuff, they come up with some wacky ideas, but we'll go with my ideas. They're wacky, but maybe they just are so wacky that they'll work. But on January 24th and 25th, DC released a smorgasbord of information. Now, if it is a smorgasbord of information, I'll tell you right now, don't eat the bread or the mashed potatoes. It's filler that makes you lose money. But about new titles and events coming in 2023. And it looks like you can add a new or revamped Wonder Woman title and a title starring Hawkgirl, Hawkman, or both in the summer. Oh, really nail that down. Now, all of this is those logos pop up. And it does look like the Wonder Woman logo situated around June. Now, June coming up, that will end up being when we should get the Wonder Woman number 800. So is this there for that? Or is it that after the 800, we'll actually get somebody who can write on that book? Because that's what I want. Now, I said Newsarama in this, they speculate, oh, well, I think it's going to be a Nubia book, and that would mean Stephanie Williams writing. Please, stop. All of that stuff has already failed. If you're going to revamp, if you have the chance to start anew in any sort of way, what you have to do is just get everybody who was involved in this Wonder Woman book, I'm saying top to bottom, in the past couple years, and fire all of them. Throw them out the window. Get them out of there. I'm talking Stephanie Williams, Clune Reds, Vita Ayala, out the door, and get somebody in that could write a story to get Wonder Woman back on top where she belongs for herself and her fans. It's nonsense. I love Wonder Woman. I don't love Wonder Woman right now. It is a chore to get through. They had the trial of the Amazons. It was the trial of the readers trying to get through that bullshit where we had the biggest event in Wonder Woman history, and it was a flop, a complete and utter failure. Stop it. Get them out. Get them out. And I've said before, I've said it now for a while, I will not take any sort of dawn of anything revamp, of anything DC is doing fully serious until you get the Clune Reds off that book. And with that, take all of them out and sayonara, sucker. Really, since the beginning of Rebirth and maybe the Greg Rucka deal, the Wonder Woman book has been nothing. Sales have just gone down, down, down. And right now they're abysmal and they're embarrassing. So you have to change things up. And one of the problems, I think, and this is the talk we're doing here, it's the Jim talk. One of the things that I think they need to do, because really a lot of the Wonder Woman runs after Rucka really did end up, and because Rucka had the true story, that's all these other writers could go with. Oh, we got to center on the truth. And Wonder Woman became such a one-dimensional character that couldn't do anything else because it was always the truth. Oh, the truth is I can't punch anybody. The truth is this book is unreadable. The truth is, please stop. So you ended up having writer after writer after writer. I'm talking Mariko Tamaki, Steve Orlando, G. Willow Wilson. You had so many people on the book, and each one came in and made the same stupid mistakes each and every time. And really the biggest mistake, and this is going to sound crazy, but you have to think outside the box sometimes. So bear with me when I say this. Let it sink in. Think about it and see if this is so crazy, it just might work. What you need to do on a Wonder Woman book is have Wonder Woman be the main character. I know it's crazy, right? The idea that she should be the focus of the book. You shouldn't have her look like she's sleepwalking through her own story with everybody else doing things and her just slightly reacting to it. She needs to be the impetus of the story. You end up having to just go forward with her and let her do things. And I'll give the Clune Reds actually some credit here. You ended up where they didn't quite grasp that whole deal of the truth. They didn't do that. What they did was make the entire book bullshit. They made it even worse. So get them all off, get them out of town, and I think things could be better. And you get that strong Trinity going, and that means a strong line of comics. To the fact that I think that it would be the greatest. My biggest thing that I would love would be that you'd have two Wonder Woman books, almost like a detective and action. You'd have a Sensation Comics to go along with the Wonder Woman solo title, where you could end up having an anthology book that could have a Donna Troy, a Yara Flor, a Nubia, Cassie Sandstorm. All of them could be in that book, and then, cross over and jump in and out of the main Wonder Woman story. But for now, the main Wonder Woman story really has to get back to basics and really concentrate on Wonder Woman. Feature Wonder Woman, please. Please. That's all I want. As far as the Hawkman, Hawkgirl, or whatever they're saying, I think that we would have, and if we do have a Hawkman book, I believe it would be a mini-series. It would almost have to be. He ended up, and I think that you would want to have Robert Venditti come back on that book. He ended up doing the last Hawkman series, and it was what people say the definitive origin of Hawkman. That's a very convoluted origin that he tried to make sense of and go forward with. And a lot of people who are Hawkman fans really loved it. Now, with that book ended up getting canceled because it wasn't selling. It was Hawkman's a tough sell anyway. So what are they going to do here if it is going to be a Hawkman? What are they going to do that's going to make it sell this time? And I don't know what that would be. Smarter people better be at the, controls here with their calculators trying to figure this out, because as I said, a lot of Hawkman fans thought that Robert Venditti's series was great, that it was, oh my God, it couldn't be better, but it wasn't selling. It wasn't selling throughout the whole run. So you got to do something else. And I don't know what that else would be, but maybe for a 6-issue mini, maybe going into the JSA book. Who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out. But I do think that they should get Robert Venditti back and make some Hawkman fans very happy. I mean, why wouldn't you want all 12 of them to be happy? I don't know. It seems like an easy thing. Here is the next story. DC reveals Cyborg ongoing series creative team. I thought it was a misplay, first off, to have the dribs and drabs and the trickling of books coming out for this dawn of DC. But one of the other things was they announced the Cyborg series, the Steelworks series. They announced them without having creative teams. People need the creative teams to get excited about a book. Now, I don't know that anybody's going to be quite excited about this announcement of this creative team, but it's kind of like, okay, let's see what's going to happen, I guess. But DC announced veteran artist Tom Rainey will be joined by writer Morgan Hampton. And if you don't recognize the name Morgan Hampton, that's because he hasn't really written anything, but is part of the Milestone Initiative Talent Development Program, which is a lot to say. If you say it 3 times, I don't know, Beetlejuice comes out. Also, Tom Rainey on art. I can't stand his art, but I'll give it a try. But they are launching the Cyborg series on May 16th. While Victor Stone will be spending a fair amount of time in Bloodhaven with his reconstituted Titans teammates, the new series finds him returning to his home city of Detroit following a family emergency. You know what's great in Detroit? Getting out of Detroit. That's just me. I mean, really, Detroit. Here we go. The Motor City. But a lot has changed in Detroit while Victor's been away, reads DC's description. An aggressive new company is turning the Motor City into an overclocked engine for revolutionary artificial intelligence. I don't know what that means. And no one knows better than Cyborg that technological transformation always comes at a steep human price. He doesn't know if he's man or machine. I hope that we don't get real cliched with this. There is a story by this Morgan Hampton in the Power book that came out, the anthology that came out this week. I have read it. It really goes heavy on the booyah, which made me giggle because of all the controversy of that. And in this, it really says that the booyah is in memory. A little shout out to his mom. And I really do think it's also kind of a dig at maybe Ray Fisher and some of that nonsense. But whatever way you take it, you can. But it just really gets pushed in that story. And I've read the story, as I said, and it's kind of generic. It's kind of basic, right? But again, maybe that's a good ploy. You're not pissing anybody off just yet. Yeah, let's get to the main series and then show us what you got. Maybe this is just a step in, yell booyah a couple times, and then we'll go forward. But I don't know. Cyborg books don't really last very long either and haven't been great recently, at least the last bunch. So I'm going into this with some cautious optimism, but we'll see. We'll be talking about it on the podcast for sure, and we'll see how it goes. And that will again come out May 16th. We're going to go to the last story here, and the last story is a revamped Green Lantern ongoing series will launch in May. Now, with all of that, Mariko Tamaki was announced on being on a Hal Jordan book, and then solicits came out, and it wasn't in that. Neither was the Philip Kennedy Johnson John Stewart book, so everybody, I'm a little confused. And then out of nowhere, they announced Jeremy Adams and Zermanico will be doing this revamped Green Lantern book, and that's pretty awesome. And it's almost like the idea where it's like me with football. Here it is. Jeremy Adams being on the book, that's great. But Mariko Tamaki not being on the book is almost just as good. I mean, you sit there, and right now, I have a very similar situation. I am from the Philadelphia area, love the Eagles, and my Eagles are in the Super Bowl, so I'm excited. But that also means that Dallas isn't. So that's even almost as good. There you go. You have it going on. Shout out to all those Cowboy fans out there. But we're going to end up having this new Green Lantern ongoing series in May. Here is a quote from it, and then we might get a little inside information coming up. A heartbreaking defeat has sent Hal reeling, returning home to rediscover his roots and find the man responsible for ruining his life, Sinestro, reads DC's description of the series. At least if he's willing to hotwire a power ring to do it. Oh my, hot wiring? Who Ooh, that sounds like a Guy Gardner thing. Green Lantern #1 will also feature a backup John Stewart story by writer Phil Kennedy Johnson and artist Osvaldo Monto, which is a pretty cool name. Sounds like he might be like a game show host, which is described as a Word Journal epic begins anew. A Word Journal epic begins anew. That's the description. All right. And sets up their John Stewart solo book. And that's a big thing. People saw that, Mariko Tamaki not on the Hal Jordan bit. So, oh my God, they've also regulated the John Stewart book to just a backup. That's not the case. This is setting it up. I think that's a smart move, actually, to give it a little space and whatnot, but still throw it out there in the backup so you get those two stories going on. With that all, I'm telling everybody right now, it's sad and I don't like it, but Jeremy Adams is not going to be writing Flash coming up. There's breaking news for you. It's not happening. As far as what I've been told by a bunch of people up until like yesterday, it ain't happening. And really what's happening is DC is going on, quote, another direction. And I think the other direction might be Barry Allen Flash book. And that drives me nuts. There's no reason you couldn't have the Wally West stuff that Jeremy Adams has been setting up and getting better and better and better. The idea, keep that going. Even if you rebrand that book to be Wally West, Fastest Man Alive, something like that. Flash Family Adventure. Why not keep that going? I know it's not selling great, but sometimes they've had books that gain, and it's gaining momentum in my mind, and they're just cutting it out when really I think the benefits could have been seen coming up. And so we're going to get somebody else on the book, somebody else maybe even doing the Barry, and you'll have Wally in the Titans book. But it's a shame. And I do know for a fact, too, that Jeremy Adams did not know about this whole, Green Lantern thing until just a couple weeks ago. So I'm wondering, in my mind, is this the story, and is this a story that maybe he's told to write? Hey, this is the outline. We want you to do this and write it. Or has he just come up quick with the story? I don't know. I asked him. He's not saying anything, and he wouldn't. He's going to be on the book and stuff. He's not going to reveal stuff like that. So the idea, though, that kind of makes me not worried, because I think he is a gem. I think that he's good enough to make it work. I just kind of wish that he was also writing the Wally stuff still as well, especially with the family, all the baby coming and the powers for, Linda, all that stuff. I hope it just doesn't get just boom, because again, we're coming up to issue 800, and that's probably afterwards when we're going to change, and there's not a lot of issues left to tie things up, which is a real shame. I did end up, now, we'll do hypothetically, I may have sent him a message and told him that whatever stories he was going to tell, keep them there locked away. Don't throw them away. Don't forget them, because in my mind, they may eventually go back to say, okay, we'll continue this stuff in a mini series or, an anthology story type deal where he'll be able to finish things up. I hope that he gets that opportunity, because I think he has earned it. I think that book, the Flash book that he's doing, is one of the better books that we've had out of the whole, death metal into this Infinite Frontier / whatever they call it now. So you have that, and DC wasn't really good at pushing it. They really weren't good, because a lot of people were still turned off by Heroes in Crisis. So screw it. I'm not going to have my heart broken again. Yet Jeremy Adams was doing everything for them. He was taking away Wally's blame from Heroes in Crisis. He was actually setting forward with the kids that everybody wanted. Linda, all that stuff. He was doing all that. In the meantime, I still have people who think that, again, an awful book was the Wally stuff in Future State, and people just assume that was written by Jeremy Adams, which it was not. So he even gets blamed for that. It's sad. It's sad. In a perfect world, this book would be one of the top sellers at DC, and he could have told his long run of Wally West Flash, but that is not in the cards just now. But we'll see if it ever is. But that is it. That is it for the news. I hope everybody liked it. That was the 80th time I tried to record, and the second full show. My throat is killing me. I have dry throat right now, and I can't. That's the problem. When you're recording by yourself, and you like to do it as I do it, I don't like pausing. I don't like, okay, I'll stop here and I'll pick it up. I like to go straight through. That is the devil's hand I'll end up recording 20 minutes and then cough, and I will ditch it all and start again. It is madness. It is. I'm trying to get away from that, but for some reason, it just doesn't work for me. But right now, I should have easily been able to take a drink like 6 times, and I haven't. And I got dry mouth, and I'm thirsty, and I'm tired, and I'm sick, and I'm tired of being sick. All that. But thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to the news program. I hope that you continue to enjoy it, and I hope that you forgive me for it just being DC this week. But we'll get to the full docket of news next week. As long as there's news, we'll do the news. So thanks, everybody, and I will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.